Brothers and sisters, the season of Christmas touches our imaginations. It's a season of simple and uncomplicated faith. However, we focus on the basics, and yet we fill in some gaps with our imagination. With our imaginations, we provide what's not spoken of in the scriptures. We come at it from our own standpoint, of course, in terms of our own understanding and our own hopes, our own experiences, the way we're wired in terms of trusting our imagination. Not all spoken of that happened. What did Mary and Joseph say and feel? What was baby Jesus like? What did the shepherds feel? What were the angels like? What did Joseph say when he heard that there was no room in any of the inns? What was it like to hear the angels sing? And what was it like to hold baby Jesus, to suckle baby Jesus, to dry his tears, and to see him smile? This is a season when we all go to the Christmas scenes, to the stables, to the mangers, to the figures of the Holy Family and everyone else who is there and all the other creatures who are there. And we let our imaginations and our sculpted figurines speak to the ageless soul of our being. Through these days of the Christmas season, it's very often an occurrence after Mass that small children they'll just go up into the hay, and they'll just be gazing and caught up in it. Of course, moms and dads and grandparents will be snapping pictures, but there's also something going on with the children as they allow the freedom of their imagination to take them there. Whether we are 7 or whether we are 70, we can all be feeling the stirring of our imaginations. As that stirring fuels our faith as we look at the simple and beautiful manger scenes. I'm struck by the Mexican approach to Christmas Eve, again with a different approach to time than many of us Anglos would have. Before the service begins, there's the passing of the little figure of baby Jesus. And everybody has an opportunity to rock baby Jesus. And we can say, well, it's just a statue, it's just a figurine, but you can see the faith, and you can see the love. And whether this person be a millionaire, or a man who's working on one of the farms or in restaurant duty, whether it's a mom with many children or even one of the children themselves, you can just sense that the imagination is putting them in touch with the deepest reality, that here they are, a rocking baby Jesus who comes into our world with such vulnerability and with such love. It's when we let go of the tyranny of secular logic that we are able to enter into the fullness of this experience. And we can just say these questions, then in a way counter the cynicism of those who do not believe. Why would God not want to guide us to live a better life? Why would God choose not to become a human? And is there any better time or place for Jesus to be born than in Bethlehem in Judea. This time of releasing our imagination is certainly also the time for Christmas pageants. Children dressing up as the faith-filled people of faith centuries ago. Children and people of all ages singing and delighting and being moved by the beautiful Christmas carols. Children who have a very general script in their Christmas pageant, finding wonderful ways to freelance and to be absolutely delightful. Of course, this is also a time when battle-weary soldiers are bolstered by the professional entertainers who come traveling across the sea to sing with them and to sing for them. Even here with our first Christmas Eve Mass at 4 p.m., it was important to have a young girl carry the figure of baby Jesus into the sanctuary and to put him in the crib. Again, we draw from our imaginations as we transcend time and feel ourselves present in Bethlehem and feel Bethlehem present right here. Today's prime song is We Three Kings. It was written in 1857 by an American Episcopalian clergyman, John Henry Hopkins II. He wrote it for a Christmas pageant in which his nephews and nieces were participating. We can imagine the delight that his family felt as the children in the pageant used their imaginations to embellish the characters they portrayed. Again this morning, in the midst of our CCD classes, quite a few of the kids were wearing crowns because they were themselves entering into the spirit of the Magi, the three kings who traveled so far and who were so eager to meet Jesus. You know, we do very often focus on the faith of the three Magi, their religious status as people who were not Jewish, their origin in a place that rendered them outsiders, their nobility as leaders, men powerful enough to be called kings, and yet humble enough to be seekers. And we can imagine the anticipation they felt as they followed the star to the location of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and the joy that they felt when they encountered Jesus. Our imaginations tell us that they gained a lot by their experience. They fulfilled their hope of meeting the Son of God, the Messiah. They cemented the truth that Jesus has come for people of all races and all religions and all nations. And they gave to us the encouragement that Herod and the Herods of every era will never prevail. But as they gave, they also experienced some losses. As cosmopolitan men of wisdom, they sealed their fate that they could never return to the land of Herod and be safe. And as they gave gifts to Jesus, they did have some losses. Whenever we give, we lose. We no longer have what we've given away. That's reality. So let's imagine what the Magi lost. Let's imagine that one king tithed. He gave 10% of the gold of his personal wealth. Thereby, he lost some personal security and the potential to indulge himself and his family. But he gained the peace of trusting that he and his loved ones would have enough to still live in a wonderful way. And he envisioned what his goal would mean to this family, who were so resourceless that their baby was born in a stable. Then there is the king who gave away frankincense. Frankincense is the gummy substance used to make aromatic incense. My imagination tells me that he gave away his perfume, that he became less concerned about his own pleasant presentation and wanted to do everything he could to help Jesus be attractive. The bottom line is that this king represents the commitment to value Jesus and the way of Jesus much more than we value ourselves or how we might be perceived by others. Finally, there is this third man of wisdom, bringing myrrh, that bitter perfume used 20 centuries ago to make graves and tombs less offensive. Myrrh is often referred to as a premonition of the passion and death of Jesus. And yet my imagination says that the myrrh also represents the grief that is most intense with the death or the loss of a loved one. A grief that can lead us to emotional paralysis, a grief that can lead to resentment, a grief that can lead to isolation, a grief that can lead to lifeless survival, and a grief that can lead to such disengagement that joy and compassion are impossible. Bringing this dubious and bitter gift to Jesus allows Jesus to transform it so that the grief can be turned into compassion, drawing from the lessons of this deep personal passion and sorrow, and drawing from that and developing a heart ready to minister to others who are going through the same things with compassion. So that this grief can be turned into a spirit where a person can laugh and dance and love and give again. Now, brothers and sisters, when John Henry Hopkins II composed this Epiphany carol, he did not entitle it "Those Three Kings." No, it was "We Three Kings," you and I, men and women of all ages and of all eras, and with a range of ability to trust our imaginations. We who have a variety of experiences and potentials for gift giving, we are the three kings coming to Jesus. We come to Jesus with our gold, the financial resources we use to give glory to God in our support of the expenses related to church ministry and care for the poor. We come to Jesus and we give of the frankincense and all that we use to make ourselves look good and to protect our egos. And we allow Jesus to redefine and refine us. And we come to Jesus with all the myrrh that festers inside of us, all that attempts to mask our dying and our losses, our grief and our resentment. And we allow Jesus, our Redeemer, Christ, our King, to transform our pain into compassion as we open ourselves to the healing that Jesus provides and the empowerment to once again trust who we are and what we have to give. As we trust the star of wonder who transforms our numb darkness into vibrant light. Yes, brothers and sisters, Maybe John Henry Hopkins II had a message to give to each of us when he began that carol with these memorable words: "We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar." Our celebration of the Epiphany this year and every year helps us to find and to live by the light of Jesus, to follow that star of wonder as we ourselves continue our pilgrimage of faith.